Hello, everyone. I've got with us today Monica Kang. She's the founder and CEO of InnovatorsBox and the author of the upcoming book, Rethink Creativity. This is going to be a great discussion. Stick around.
Welcome to the Your Mark on the World show with your champion of social good, Devin D. Thorpe.
This episode is made possible via the support of our sponsors, including Johnson & Johnson's Caring Crowd. Monica, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we're thrilled to have you and grateful that you would take the time to visit with us today. Tell us a little bit about InnovatorsBox.
InnovatorsBox is a creative leadership firm empowering all to learn how to unlock their creativity. And what I mean by creativity is not just creativity for product development, but really changing the way you think about everything. And for those who are wearing glasses, it's like living your life with a more creative lens in everything you do.
And your book, Rethink Creativity, what's that about?
So I wanted to write the book, Rethink Creativity, because with the work I do and the conversations, I always end up still in many conversations where people say, that's great and I have these tools, but I still know so many other people who might not be in a workshop, who might still not have the resources, who might not know about having any educational resources to learn how they can be creative. And I wanted to make sure that everyone, no matter where they are, knew how they can be more creative, regardless of where they worked and what they do. And so the book is centered around how to build that creative mindset by yourself. And I debackle and debunk kind of the stereotypes that people might be familiar with that might have been their philosophy and what they thought about creativity. And through that, I have walking models and some exercises and reflective questions for them to think about, as well as work with their teams. And so as an organizer, I kind of broke down some of the chapters so that you have apply sections where you can think about how it would apply in an individual setting, how you can think about creativity in a team setting, and what that means in a company setting, which is always empowering to know that you are at the center of the change, that you can bring that creativity.
How do you, let me ask it this way. What is the biggest obstacle that most people face to creativity?
One of the biggest obstacle, I would say, is their belief and the societal expectation. And I say both because one, even those who might believe that they're creative, when they're in a society or in an environment that is not supportive, it's hard. And that might be an organization setting, that might be even a family setting, that might be even a friend circle. And that's a huge obstacle. And I think we should not underestimate what that negativity and discouragement could have. But at the same time, there's an opposite scenario of, even though they're in a creative environment or quote, quote, creative looking environment, if they as an individual don't believe at one point, or believe that it's a creativity is a one dimension that doesn't fit in their own model, they might not believe it. No matter what you give, then it's not going to work. And I think the challenge is, unfortunately, we have too many of people who's in both, which makes it worse. And so it's been a humbling and exciting journey on my end to be able to do the work I do, because I know exactly what it's like to be stuck. And it was not a pretty sight. And so I wanted to figure out a way how I can get unstuck so that I can face those two situations and come across. And now with the work I do, I'm excited that I can help more people understand that they can figure out how to face and confront. If they used to believe they're not creative, there's still a way out, so that's okay. If you're in a place that you feel like everyone is discouraging, that's okay, there's a way out. And so I think that change of possibility and understanding that's the exciting part. But if we talk about just challenges, I think those two things in particular stand out.
How do we overcome those big challenges?
So to overcome, I think a lot about how we build habits. And my favorite analogy is, I understand for many people who might be listening and thinking is, creativity seems so abstract. Like, how do you quantify it? How do you make it concrete? Like, I think of something like art related, like there's probably a lot of people who think like that. And so for them to understand how to make that progress of how to overcome that challenge is to think of an analogy. And I think health and exercise is a perfect example. That's something that seems intangible, right? You can't measure health in one way, but there's so many small things that would make a tremendous amount of impact. And so what, two stories that I can share, an example that I think everyone can relate to is, one, think of an example of someone saying like, hey, I went to the gym today and I'm going to be completely healthy for the rest of the year. Actually, my entire life. So I'm done. And you're going to laugh out loud and say like, haha, that doesn't work that way. Because we know that just doing one day exercise for that day, maybe it's helpful for the few days, but it's not going to help you stay healthy for the entire life if you're going to stay unhealthy and do all these unhealthy habits of, eating junk food, or, just not exercising, not taking care of yourself, not sleeping well. So that has an entire impact. So I take that analogy of thinking about creativity, because it's not just about being in a workshop for one day. It's not just about reading one book and you're done. It's not taking one class and you're done, but like, how do you integrate it throughout your life so you're building a habit and making it part of your life cycle? And so to do that change, one, you have to understand that ecosystem of how it's going to impact your thinking and your ecosystem in life overall. But two, then as a result, what are the incremental changes that you are committed to do and permit yourself to do? And it might be something as small as like making the intention of doing at least one thing differently every single day. And if you need a time constraint, go ahead and say like, I'm going to do one thing different every day for 5 minutes. Just something simple as that, and study how it changed. Study what you notice in yourself, what you feel uncomfortable, what you feel comfortable, what are the things that you surprisingly found that you enjoy doing. And it could be both traditionally artsy, as in like you sketch something different, or that you play around with your Excel documents, to routine things as like taking a different commute to work, listening to a music that you would never usually listen to, or try to watch a TED Talk video on a topic that you are usually not interested in. Watch a TV show even later, maybe at night, that you don't usually watch, and learn about something new. All of those things are triggering you to practice and think in different ways, and it's going to give you more resource to be comfortable in that thinking new lens on creativity. And so that's the key thing that will help you gradually overcome.
How does creativity allow someone to tackle the world's big problems, to really make a difference in the world?
I would say creativity is in the essence of everything. And in addition to kind of the traditional notion of, solving problems in a different way, of, making sure you can solve problems even with limited resources, like that's all part of the reason why. But I think the bigger reason why it's even more important for change makers who are creative, who end up being a greater impact, is because when you're creative, it's not just about doing better results and thinking of new solutions. When you're genuinely creative and bringing out your best insights in different ways, you're often excited, you're often losing track of time, and there's probably no coincidence of why people often express how they feel alive when they're creative, right? Like we hear like both artists and, even scientists say like, oh, I lost track of time because I was working on this research, right? And they were trying to find creative solutions. Imagine if more leaders and change makers felt that way, right? The approaches they will take, then the businesses they build, the teams they build would impact that energy, as well as the solutions and the approach they take. And so I think it will be a huge impact in that as change makers and individuals to do, especially if someone is already making that difference. That ripple effect is just tremendous.
So, Monica, what are you most proud of having accomplished?
I am most proud of accomplishing my dreams that people discourage me that it should not be the right path and sticking to it. I think I had so many people who encouraged me to consider making my company a nonprofit, because it's like, that's a nice dream, but I'm not sure how you're going to change the workplace. We already have a way of doing things. So go lucky you. Good luck. I'm glad I stuck to my guts and say, like, I know this might take more time, but I will regret not doing it. I would rather do it and then find out if I fail and then I'll know, but I regret more if I didn't try. And same with the book. Like, I had initially some people who both encouraged me, but also discouraged me. I'm like, are you really sure you need another creativity book? There's already probably tons out there. And I'm glad I stuck to it, because along the way, I've learned so much. But I'm proud and excited that the book that I'm going to have out is something that is unique of value. And it is because I believed in it along the way as well. And I hope that it would inspire others to recognize that no matter what others say, like, if you create something and put something out in the world that you genuinely care with your full intention and with your full gift, it's not replicatable. Like, you as a person is never something that could be exactly copied the way you are. And I think once people understand that, if more people brought out that gift to the world, I think it'll be exciting. And so I'm proud that, though with the career transition, because I used to also work in a very different place, which was nuclear weapon security and in the government contracting, I'm proud that, though that was very scary and still is at times, to just continue on with it and know that, I'm doing it for a reason and for a greater good. And that will be the part I'm proud of.
So, Monica, what's the most important lesson you've learned through your career?
There's so many, so I feel like the most important is hard, but I think it goes back to that at the end of the day, whatever we do, it still connects back to people. And I would say that's important because it's so easy to just focus on the numbers. It's so easy to say that I rep my sales goal, or that my revenue goals, or that, our product milestones. But are the people actually using it? Are the people actually benefiting from it? Are you building relationships? Are you actually making a difference? Are you making a difference in your own life? How is your relationship being impacted? And I'm not just talking about the followers that you have online, but like, even with the followers online, like, you could actually build a relationship, because I hope that the people that you say that you're impacting online are actual real people and not just people who's going to be bots. And I think if we think more about that, we might remember that when we do, especially as entrepreneurs, when we build relationship, it's not just about a pitch that you're going to do every single time you meet someone. It's about relationship building. And every time you create something new, I hope you remember that, who are the people who's building that? They are people and they have families. Think about how they're going to work and process. Your team, they are people. The people who are going to buy, they are people. The people who are going to help you sell, they are people. And I think when we forget that, yes, you might find a better way to make more money faster. You might find a way to change certain things faster. But if you're forgetting that people equation, I'm sorry, but you're going to probably miss a huge part of the impact. It might make certain changes that's going to hugely impact in a negative way that might hurt a lot of people. And so I'm grateful, especially with my transition and with entrepreneurship in the book, has really empowered me in remembering that without any one of those, it wouldn't be the same. And so I try to always keep that in mind. How can I make sure I keep that into perspective? But also, how can I be that other person for other people? And so I would share that one of my biggest lessons is that people equation, and never forgetting that.
Excellent. Monica, what is your superpower?
My superpower is making it happen. And so once I committed and once I decide to do something, I will do everything that I can to make sure it happens. And at the same time, I've learned hence to make sure I study and understand what I'm committing to, because then you don't want to overcommit. But then at the same time, no matter how busy it gets, once I've committed, I make sure that we have everything into play. And I'm glad that Superpower has played a role in helping me get this book to life, as well as the business.
That's great. Well, Monica, I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. Before you go, I wonder if you would take just 1 minute and tell people how they can learn more about InnovatorsBox and your book, Rethink Creativity, and how they can connect with you personally.
Awesome. Yes, would love to connect with more change makers and people who love making a difference and want to learn how to be more creative. I'm a big LinkedIn user, so actually feel free to find me on LinkedIn. Just remind me that this is how you found me so that I know how you're reaching out. You can find my email there as well. So if you have any specific questions, reach out there. But would love to, of course, have you learn more about creativity through the work we do. So InnovatorsBox.com is our website for the work we do at InnovatorsBox. You can check out some of our products and services, and maybe we can find ways we can work with you together too. And rethinkcreativity.co is our book website, and that's where you can learn more about the book. But you should be able to find it online and Amazon pretty soon after September.
Fantastic. Well, Monica, again, thank you very much for being with us today. And we wish you every success with your book launch.
Thank you very much for having me.
All righty. Let's do some good.
At Caring Crowd, we believe everyone has the power to make a difference. Through our crowdfunding platform for community health, we empower passionate people to drive real change. Whether you work for a nonprofit organization, volunteer, or want to get involved for the first time, you can post a campaign on Caring Crowd. Join us, because caring is where change begins.
Thank you for listening. Devin Thorpe's mission is to end extreme poverty, improve global health, and mitigate climate change before 2045 by finding and sharing the stories of those who are doing the most good. You can join with other listeners to accelerate Devin's mission by visiting helpdevin.org right now.